Party people, what's going on? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for another episode of Trilogies and Beyond. I got my main man from overseas, Maniac, joining me. Maniac, what's up, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm good. I've been burning up on what we're going to be talking about. So, yeah.
Boy, me too, man. I even got props ready. I got all kind of shit ready. And I even had, it looks like you had something going from what we're talking about today, which we are talking about the Mission Impossible franchise. Oh,
Yep.
yes. And we're only talking about part 1 through 3 because we're going to do 4 through 6, the next one, which we're going to do tomorrow. But we decided it's just too much to pack into an hour, 6 films. And I think we learned that on the Terminator franchise.
Yeah, this franchise has been going for 25 years.
Dude, think about this. 2006, it's going to be 30 years old. That is amazing. I didn't even realize that until a little earlier when I was looking at the date. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, I still remember going to see the first one at the cinema and thinking, like, it blew me away. Seeing Tom Cruise in this, I knew of the TV show and I didn't know it really well, but I knew like the main characters and what the plot was. And I remember thinking, this was awesome. Like, I really enjoyed the first one. How do you feel about the first one?
Oh, I love it. Well, first off, I was getting into high school. I was a sophomore and I was all about film at this point. Like, this is where I was becoming the Quentin Tarantino nerd, the snooty film geek, where I was graduating out of and still enjoying the Goonies and the Back to the Future and all that, but I was getting into real movies. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like it just wasn't that all fun thing anymore. At this point, I was really even wanting movies to be a little overcomplicated, but I knew who Brian De Palma was because I had seen Scarface, all that kind of stuff. And I just knew who he was, Carlito's Way. And then obviously Tom Cruise coming out with it. And when I was growing up, I watched Nick at Night a lot, which that's a television on a station over here that shows old school 50s, 60s, 70s TV show. Do y'all have anything like that over there?
Yeah, we do. Like, we have channels where they'll show it in the really late at night because it's cheap and there is, the advertising, because it's old programs and it's like a niche market. But I love programs like that, Lost in Space.
Exactly.
Yeah, Land of the Giants, that sort of era.
Oh yeah, Gilligan's Island. Did y'all have that?
I've never seen that. No, I've never seen that.
How about Bewitched?
I've seen that. Yeah.
So okay,
that used to be on in the mornings.
So there's a common thread there. We know some of the same things as far as the shows, but obviously Mission Impossible was something that we knew. Now, did you know? You said you didn't know anything about it, or you knew about it and just didn't watch the show?
I knew the plot of the show. As in, like, for me, I used to love the soundtrack of the show. Like, I absolutely adore it, especially when I just used to love that. Not particularly the main theme. I do like that.
Oh, you just like the vibe of the soundtrack of the show itself.
Yeah, when they're all planning and everything. I love that. And looking back on this franchise, for me, I think the first one is, I know there's a few like things that people didn't like about the first one. I can't remember the guy's name, but John Voight's character.
Jim Phelps.
That's it. They made him the villain, didn't they?
They did. And that was a big thing that a lot of people had a problem with because one, Ethan Hunt wasn't a character.
Yeah, they just made that up for that, didn't they?
Yeah. And if he was something that was mentioned and I just don't recall it properly, but like Leonard Nimoy was in the show as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
But the Jim Phelps character was the main guy, and he was the one always asking for the getting the missions if you choose to accept or not, whatever, and then it would self-destruct.
He was like a George Peppard sort of character, is that right? Like from A-Team?
Yeah, no, he was for sure. He was a little older looking, but he wasn't an old man. Like, for example, he is probably the same age as Roger Moore, but I believed this guy in his role. Whereas Roger Moore, I never bought him as Bond. I never could buy it. Like, I just don't believe you as Bond, man.
Yeah, I don't believe all the ladies had flocked to Bond.
No, it's like kissing their grandpa.
Yeah.
And then one of my Roger Moore rundown review that I have, I even do a little scene where I edit it And it's like showing, and it's like, because I commented, I was like, all the girls when they were kissing Roger Moore just look so awkward. And he just does this weird, like, smashing thing. They just smash their faces together. And so I recut it and I have them about to kiss each other. And I got a little voice and I was like, oh, yeah, come here, sweetheart.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy, Roger Moore.
It's funny. I have to send you the link to that so you can check it out at some point. But anyways, but I bought Jim Phelps. I bought him as the guy that played him. I believe that this dude could do it. He's rugged. He's older, but he's rugged and he looks tough.
Yeah. And I think when the film opened, the opening scene, you know, with Emilio Estevez, and you're thinking, wow, he's a big actor. Like he's going to have a major role. And then it all falls apart and you're like, what? They're killing Emilio off? What?
Dude, I couldn't believe, and you know what? I thought I had a picture of him in here, and I guess I didn't. I swore I had a picture of him downloaded from this movie, and maybe it just didn't transfer properly. But yes, I was definitely excited. I'm like, Emilio's in it. I hadn't seen him since like Mighty Ducks, you know, and like I was really pumped up because I loved him from Men at Work, Young Guns. You know, I grew up on those movies.
Yeah, Repo Man.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, and then he just, you know, literally,
and it's
elevator. Remember, it smashes his head all up in there.
Yeah, I remember that. And like Tom Cruise, like he was big at the time, and I just remember thinking, right, okay, yeah. I mean, he does look great in this film. Yeah,
I think he was at the beginning of, like, he had just crossed the threshold of superstar status. You know what I mean?
I'd agree with that. Yeah. Who approached you about getting this film made? Do you know?
I really don't know, but I do know that him and Paula Wagner are the main two producers of the entire franchise, and they're friends, they're buddies. And I do know that, okay, so Mission Impossible is a Paramount franchise, and he signed on with Paramount a long time ago to do a ton of movies with them. If you notice, almost every movie that came out by Tom Cruise, with the exception of the indie film here and there, or just some major blockbuster that he couldn't turn down. But most of his stuff was through Paramount. Yeah. And they had like a little falling out for a second, but they never like parted ways or anything. It was just there was like a half of a year of legal disagreements, but he's always been a Paramount dude, which is why it's so bad for him right now, because of Top Gun 2 and Mission Impossible both getting set back doubly. Mission Impossible, I mean, Top Gun 2 has been like, it's been pushed back a ton, and now it's pushed back to 2022. And it's just like,
he made a comment today. I don't know if you saw it in the news, where he's saying to release it now wouldn't be tasteful because of what's going on in Afghanistan.
Well, they have that against him on top of the Delta, you know, so it is. I mean, he's just got a lot of odds stacked up against him right now with his two babies.
I mean, he's had such a successful career. You would expect him to have a bit of a lull anyway, but not like this, you know, not like this, not with this franchise.
Well, and again, it's not for effort of it wanting to be done. It's not the studios want these things to happen. He wanted them to happen. He works his ass off. We all know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just life is getting in the way, man. I mean, obviously there's way worse things going on than the Mission Impossible franchise dying, if that's even dying, but it still sucks for him.
Yeah, it does.
But anyways, back to old Tom in the movie.
Yeah.
He did look great. And I got a picture of him and old John Voight right there. Which, God, look how young John Voight looked, even though he was old then.
And Ethan absolutely like adores this guy in this film. Like he respects him like we were meant to respect him because of the TV show. As in, we think Jim Phelps is a good guy. So we were kind of duped as well.
Oh, we were all duped, man. We definitely all. I didn't see it coming. First, I thought he was going to be Jim Phelps. I thought Tom Cruise was going to be Jim Phelps. When the whole time I'm watching the trailer, I'm like, oh, and remember this? This is the one hook of the trailer that everybody was like, oh my God, this looks amazing.
Yeah, that scene where, that's the end part, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, where he slams onto the train, and don't get me wrong, it was awesome for the time, but man, it doesn't hold up.
Does it not?
CG wise, it doesn't. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, he's not doing his real stunts there.
I think that if you think about it, at that point, the movie outside of that scene, and he is doing that, you can look up shots of him online, like with them around it was blue screen at the time, but that was before they changed it to green. but he's got all the, he's in a blue screen room. He's on wires and they're swinging him up against stuff.
Let's
But that's
talking
really,
of wires. Talking of wires, we need to talk about that scene. The scene where he's on the wire. Yeah, we go.
oh, dude.
That scene in the theater, I'm guessing you couldn't hear a pin drop.
Quietest moment I've ever had in the theater. No question. Yep. And
I don't know why next to my dad.
I don't know why that was a universal thing, but it was.
Yeah, it got spoofed, didn't it?
Yeah,
so many times.
Yeah, I think Family Guys talked about it and just made fun of it and just made, oh yeah, it was like that time. Oh shit. I thought I was on silent. Sorry. Yeah, it was, but Family Guy was like, yeah, it's like that time we were in the theater and the Mission Impossible 1. And then it shows that scene and and I think Peter's like, he farts or something,
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
But that scene, I usually go back to that scene because I think it's so well done. I love how the plan and the mission. This is the thing about this movie, as in like it feels like the TV show. How like they're all working together, trying to deceive everyone. I love this scene.
I agree, man. I couldn't agree more.
It pops up. I just remember him saying toast, because he's got a little bar on his watch.
And and it was moving. The bar was moving. Speaking of that scene, though, you remember? Let's see. I know I got a picture of him here somewhere. I thought I did. God dang it! Did I not download that one either? But John Reno was in there.
Yeah, he's lowering him down on the rope, and he's afraid.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
And remember, he's about to kill that guy, and Tom stops him. What's so funny about this scene? That was the first time I saw Tom Cruise, and I was like, looking at his arms, I was like, oh shit, Tom Cruise is in shape.
Yeah, he's working out there. I mean, he doesn't hold a gun until Mission Impossible 2. That was his first film, wasn't it? Where he holds a gun.
Did he not ever have a gun in this movie?
No. I think the first time he ever, in any movie, he has is Mission Impossible 2, I believe. No, don't quote me on this, but we'll have a look at that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd like to know that too. I had never heard that, but that I can't think of a moment where he's holding the gun. Oh, no. Hang on a second.
He has no gun in Cocktail.
No, but I think he has one in part 1.
Good luck with that.
I'm almost positive. Hang on a second. You know what? I'm going to try to do this real fast because I really do think that I have a shot of him with a gun. I'm almost positive I do. But because I remember he doesn't he pull up a gun with the girl? Isn't he like freaked out for a second? He pulls up the gun with the main girl.
Trust her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Phelps' his wife, is that right?
Yeah, and I feel like there was a moment where he's like, yeah, I don't trust her. And I know why it didn't I think I see right now why it didn't download. No, that's not it. Anyways, well, I'm not going to try to get it in there. I'm going to distract myself. But no, I think that for 1 second, he's like, and he just like, but then he puts it down because he's kind of scared and the camera's like doing a close up on him.
Unless it's firing a gun.
Maybe it was firing a gun because I don't think that he fires anything in there because he gets shot at, especially when he's talking to Kittredge. Remember, this is when he's like,
love that scene.
You haven't seen me upset.
Yeah, and then he's got the chewing gum.
Oh yeah, and then boom.
Yeah, that was a great scene. I'm guessing that was a one take.
It had to have been, man, with all that water running out. And he just running. I remember thinking, like, man, that dude can run fast.
Yeah,
because he's just like.
It's the way his arms and everything. Like he just looks like he's running twice as fast as the average man.
Well, and ever since then, he runs in every Mission Impossible movie, hardcore, and other movies.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, we got to have a Tom Cruise running scene because he just looks good doing it. He puts his all into it. He makes faces.
Never gets tired.
And, that's something else we got to talk about. I mean, the dude, obviously, we're not going to get into his later Mission Impossible films now, but he has remained in phenomenal shape. Even though he's getting older, he is getting older and showing his age, but still, he's remained in phenomenal shape. You got to give him that.
Do you think this? Yeah, I agree with that. Do you think that this movie was made because of the success of GoldenEye?
Well, it came out the same year.
Was it?
I'm almost positive because I remember seeing Goldeneye in the theater. I think this came out. If it didn't come out the same year, it was within 12 months. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. So it was already in pre-production whilst
Yeah, it
GoldenEye.
had to
They
have
didn't
been
know the
like
success.
if one came out, like if Goldeneye came out that November, then Mission Impossible came out that next summer.
Right. Okay. So they wouldn't have known.
I mean, they may have knew behind the scenes that, you know, because I think studios do try to find the hot, trendy things that are being made. And this is what's going to, you know, because nowadays they project what's going to be trendy. They don't even just base things off what's trendy. They project in 10 months, this is going to be happening. But I really feel like that it was just time to make a Mission Impossible movie, honestly, because there was a lot of TV show movies being made. The Beverly Hillbillies movie had gotten made. The Addams Family movie had gotten made. So I think they were just like, let's do this one.
Yeah, let's modernize it and make it. Yeah, no, it started a really good franchise. You know,
massive franchise.
Yeah, I mean, there was how many years is it before the next one? 4 years. Summer of 2000, wasn't it?
That sounds right because I was already out of high school, and I just remember that because I remember who I went to go see it with, and I remember the day we went to go see it. I just remember I was already living by myself then, like I was out of the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this would definitely started a massive franchise. And I think that the Mission Impossible movies, while there were a lot of those type of movies coming out in 96, action movies, you know, and real action stars, explosions, stuff like that. While this movie was that, this is the one out of all 6 so far that was artistically its own thing, along with part 2. Those 2 to me are the only really truly like their own, like, because you could tell this is a Brian De Palma film on top of it being a Mission Impossible movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, from the direction style, yeah.
Exactly. And
yeah, like so, the sequel, you're right. Yeah, basically you can tell who's directed the sequel.
John Woo, whereas they started becoming just more quintessential action flicks after that. But when this started, these action movies, Cruise was sort of doing it with everybody else, but now he's like the only one left doing it outside of like The Rock and stuff like that. Because the Marvel action guys, none of them do their own stunts hardly, and it's so CG'd. Like Mission Impossible's still trying to do the explosions. They're still trying to do the real shit, and I think there's something cool about that. That's old school movie making.
It's like he's America's answer to Jackie Chan.
Yeah, in a weird way, man. He's never stopped. He's always bigger and better. He's a good actor. We've talked about that. As crazy and eccentric as he is in real life, I don't think anyone can deny that he's a great actor.
Yeah, he's made some of the best films for me. You know, like I spoke about Cocktail. I love that movie.
You love that movie, and you love Vanilla Sky. I hear you talk about those a lot.
Yeah, I love Vanilla Sky. I don't know why I love it, but yeah, I do. I do have a love for the guy, or an interest. You know, when he's on screen, he captivates it. Even like when he's in Tropic Thunder. Like when he's making fun, like there's just something captivating about Tom Cruise. I can understand why he's a mega star. You know, he's good.
You know, they refer to him as the last big movie star, or the you know how there's like the last Starfighter. They kind of refer to him as like the last big real movie star. Because again, Dwayne, I guess you could kind of say that, but Dwayne's in a newer ball game. He's more of the new school guys of actors, and I think he'll be around a lot longer. Whereas, I mean, how long do you think Tom can keep these things up, man? This action.
See, I like him, but I mean, I don't want to diss the franchise because I do think it's on the decline. But that's because I'm not a fan of the director of the last 2 movies, so I don't like his direction style. But I think he'll probably keep doing until he's about 70, maybe more. You don't know. If Stallone could be doing it at 75 and Harrison Ford can be doing it at 78, 79, why can't he be doing it? You know?
Yeah, that's true, man. I mean, Stallone is kind of in that last real action hero movie, but the thing is with Stallone is he's not making the massive big budget pictures like he used to, whereas Tom Cruise still is.
Yeah. He's making original movies as well, Tom Cruise, as well as the Mission Impossible franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I like about him. you know, he's diverse. He can make a space movie. He can make something about The Last Samurai. I like that one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the Edge of Tomorrow was great. I liked Oblivion okay, but Edge of Tomorrow was a solid film. I mean, all the way through.
What I loved about Edge of Tomorrow is he's arrogant at the beginning and he's a coward, you know, and then he becomes better as he goes along. Because usually that's the thing with Tom Cruise. He's never usually like bad. And I think when he did Collateral as well, where he's the villain.
Oh God, I love that movie. I love Michael Mann.
Yeah, I thought that was bold of him, because him being the hero all the time, that does become somewhat tiresome. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's always usually the hero, barring the Terminator or Mr. Freeze. Like, I can't think of anything else where he's a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously you said barring the Terminator, Mr. Freeze. I'm trying to think of anything else that Arnold was a bad guy in. And I think in that movie, which was recent, it was supposed to be like a comedy, and it was like it was like a hitman thing, and they were all trying to get Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, and it was like a Get Carter, but it wasn't that. It was something else. It was like this weird name. It was supposed to be like a
I might not have seen this one. If it's recent, I might not have seen it.
Yeah, it's part of his little recent resurgence he tried to do, along with Sabotage and The Last Stand and all that. And it was another one right around that time. And I'll have to think about it. But yeah, I mean, he's always usually pretty much a good guy, and that was his thing. That's what he sold it as. And Tom Cruise, even though he only really did it in Collateral, wasn't he a bad guy in Valkyrie, or was he a good guy in that?
He was a good guy. Well, he was a Nazi that became a good guy. Like, I think, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was the one. That's the one with the bomb? Did they bomb the place? I have seen that once, but
to be honest, I don't remember it. I really don't remember it.
Yeah.
Well, I do love the first one. I think it's complex. I think it has the most kind of twisty kind of, it's almost creepy at moments, you know, like when, and the other thing we didn't talk about is Danny Elfman does the music for that.
For the first one?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
Bono
did a good job.
Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen did, this is interesting. Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen, the drummer and the bass player for U2, they did the song for Mission Impossible. The you know, the one that's on.
Yeah. Did you know that Bono wrote Goldeneye?
Well, Bono and the Edge did Goldeneye. That's what I was going to say. So that's what's so ironic.
Yeah.
So Bono and the Edge did Goldeneye, and then Larry and Adam did Mission Impossible. So it's like, what's up, guys?
Yeah,
that had to be on purpose.
Yeah, the theme got released, I remember, in the charts, and that got people pumped for the summer as well. Are we going to move on to the second one? Because that one, I remember, like, it was a beautiful hot summer, and I just think the marketing for this film was phenomenal. Like, I saw the posters for it on every single bus stop.
For part two?
For part two. And the way they called it MI2, and like the scar on his face, it was like, wow, what's this going to be? I think it's a lot weaker than the first one, personally. But I just remember, like, the song, getting Limp Bizkit to do it. It was like the theme of the summer.
And they also had Metallica in there doing a song as well, which wasn't a Mission Impossible like song, but it was a song that they advertised for the movie.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. They pumped up the soundtrack on this one. The soundtrack was sold on the first one, but the soundtrack wasn't a big part of the feeling of the movie. Whereas this one, because that's another thing, Hans Zimmer did the music for this one.
Yeah. I listened to this soundtrack quite a lot in the car.
It's solid, dude. And it's not just that one or two tracks. It's like the whole thing is great. Like, it feels like you're watching the movie when you're listening to the soundtrack.
Yeah. I did enjoy at the time the introduction of Anthony Hopkins as like the boss. And it introduced Fandy Newton as like a megastar as well. But Doug Ray, what's his name?
Doug Ray Scott.
Yeah. This didn't really do anything for him.
Well, you know, what's really funny is that he turned down the role for Wolverine for this.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Wolverine would have even been anything if he would have played Wolverine?
I wouldn't say he was a great actor. I mean, he's Scottish, right?
I don't know what he is.
Yeah, I think he's Scottish, or he's definitely British. Yeah, no, I can't imagine him playing Wolverine. And the thought of losing the other guy, Hugh Jackman. No, I'm
Yeah, no,
glad
I mean
he made this
he's
choice.
synonymous with Wolverine forever now. So
Yeah,
the Anthony Hopkins thing, he wasn't really in the movie a whole lot, and he's not been in the franchise since, right?
no, there was no
Yeah,
there was no
so that,
explanation of it. It was just he comes in, gives him his mission, and
so in
that's
a
it.
weird way, isn't this one sort of like the black sheep of the franchise? Like, isn't it the one that doesn't quite fit in tone with the rest?
Yes, it stands out like a sore thumb.
But I love it
As in, like,
because of that.
if you was to get somebody now to say, right, watch these all back to back, I reckon most people would say that this is the weakest.
Oh yeah, some people hate it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I loved all the extra scenes on the DVD with Ben Stiller and everything. I just at the time. Now I
Dude,
don't like it as much.
I'm so glad that you know that, because I was going to bring that up. That I watch that all the time. To me, it is hilarious. The Tom
Yeah,
Cruise, Crooze. God,
yeah, and you can see why he ended up starring in Tropic Thunder. Like they've got a good relationship there.
you could tell they became friends and all that stuff. And that's another thing. I think Tom, we talked about this. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's just gotten to that level of stature and status to where he's sort of like royalty. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I guarantee you that if he asked to meet with, you know, Prince Harry or Prince William and Kate, they could probably be like, "Oh, we love Tom Cruise. Let's have him over." You know, he wants to meet up with us. I mean, he's got that kind of
But
power. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, because when you're a producer and you're dealing with millions of dollars that you maybe your own money that you're going to lose on these movies, like
Oh,
you've
for
got to
sure.
step up. And yeah, and he's treating the job as serious as he can be. And what he did with COVID last year, I commended him for. Where he shouted at all the staff and it was all over the news. And I thought, you know what, this guy is following the rules. That's it. You remember that
It
last year?
Oh, of course. But he's like, basically he's yelling. He's just like, hundreds and thousands of people's jobs are on the line right now, and you want to sit there and act like the mask isn't. He's like, if I see it again, you're fired. And that's great
Yeah,
because he doesn't have a reputation for being like that on set.
yeah,
Nobody's ever been like, man, Tom's a jerk on set. No, people have a good time with him on set apparently. But that was just something to where he was like, no, he's the boss at that point. You know what I mean? He was being the boss.
yeah,
Take the fun celebrity film part out of it that we see. This was a production where, like you said, where millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, people's jobs, and he knows that. He's very aware of that. And so, yeah,
yeah,
I commended him too, man. And you and I are on the same page about all that too. But he he definitely took a chance with this second one because he's a producer of the second one too. You know what I'm saying? So he
yeah.
approved the
And
John Woo thing. I love John Woo.
I love John Woo, but he's a little bit stereotypical with his signatures.
Oh, he is.
Obviously the dove.
He's stuck in the 90s. There's no question about that. He's stuck in the
Yeah,
90s and will remain in the 90s with his direction style. And he'll even tell you that, but that's what he likes. That's what he always wants to do. And in fact, he can't really get work anymore in America because of it. Now, all of the only films he does now is back over in his home country.
because of Mission Impossible 2.
No, because of his directing style. But no, because he did Paycheck after Mission Impossible 2. And Paycheck was
Right.
still a big movie over here. He did Wind Talkers after Mission Impossible 2, which that one was
That didn't do so well, did it? Is that with
it
Nicolas
didn't.
Cage?
Nicolas Cage, Christian Slater. It wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't a John Woo film. It was more
Yeah.
serious and dramatic, and it was more compassionate. It wasn't, I want to see Chow Yun Fat like in Killers or Boiling Point, where they're just left and right, and that's what we got in Mission Impossible 2. That's what I think is so great about it. It's a full on John Woo film.
Yeah, I think there was way too many face swaps in this movie, and it was becoming to the point where anybody could be anyone. You could be someone who was 6 foot tall, and you could be 5 foot in real life, and that's the part what they needed to polish up. It's they had this new CGI with face to face onto it, and it was just there you go.
No, but then I
Dimitri.
did, and then we got Dimitri, and then we just but also the opening scene with Tom as Dougray underneath,
Yeah, I remember seeing that scene and thinking, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Like and then it was like, so people can copy his face, and I personally, I don't like to see it too much in the movies. I prefer what happens in the sequels where like things start to go wrong and it's It's not as perfect as what it is in this one. It's too polished in this one. It's like they absolutely went to town on it.
Yeah, but don't you think that it's still, I mean, it's got gritty moments, but I mean, this is straight up almost a superhero flick. It's a revenge. Don't you think that it still has, like, he gets beat up, you know, and she gets kidnapped and all that. And then, you know, I love her, dude, which, by the way, I mean, to me, she's sort of like a perfect woman. But I felt the love there. I felt all that between them. And, you know, I really felt like this was more of a, like, the first one was like a technological spy thing with a little bit of a twist. And this one was a straight personal mission, straight up.
It was yeah, because once she's injected herself, he's like absolutely determined to get the antidote to her.
And dude, to me, I'll have to say what I do like about this film, but I was confused about it first when I first saw it in the theater. Is it the first part of it outside of the opening scene? Because the opening scene feels very John Woo film when they're on the plane and everything, which, by the way, this movie is sort of Dark Knight-ish in certain parts with the opening scene and when he's standing like on top of that building with the atrium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just it's very, just both of those remind me of the Dark Knight franchise in certain ways, but that's another topic.
I get what you mean. Yeah.
But no, but what I was going to say is that the first part outside of that opening scene is that it was sort of like a Mission Impossible feeling film. That was technological stuff. Diseases were getting stolen. All these things were happening. But as soon as she gets injected, it does this whole Dusk Till Dawn thing where it went from being a gangster film to a vampire film. This went from being that techie thing. All of a sudden it's like, now we're back. Well, now we're in John Woo world with the dubs and the music. Hans Zimmer's music just started getting emotional for the rest of the film. And I just thought that was great. I loved it.
It's not bloated with too many characters, this one.
So, no, like, it's very isolated feeling.
Yeah, you've still got like Ving Rhames, and then you've got the Australian guy who no one really cares about that guy.
But Ving's in all of them. He's the only one that's been in every one.
Ving Rhames. He's got a major contract with them. They have to put him in, don't they?
I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like he gets paid regardless. So it's like, well, we're going to have to use him. So I think, but I remember reading that somewhere, as in like he gets paid even if he gets minimal screen time. Because there's one of them where he's hardly in it, isn't there? Is it the third one?
Yeah, well, maybe it's the no, because he's in the third one. He helps him break out. Kerry Russell's character in the beginning of the third one.
Yeah. Well, the helicopters,
yeah. But he's in that one actually a decent amount. Is it the fourth one? Now I can't remember. I'll have to research that. But he's in all three, the first three, a decent amount.
Right. Okay. Might be the fourth one then.
The first one, I mean, he's not in a ton. He's in it, but I think it might be the fourth one because he's in the fifth one as well. But anyways, we're getting off topic.
So yeah, the second one, I love some of the imagery in it. I love it where he's in the biotech thing trying to get the disease, and he's putting on the gloves, and it's very tense, but not as tense as the first movie. And you've got Ving Rhames telling him that people are coming. Is that right? And like that, there's people all around you, and he has to escape.
Yeah.
And he said, "Stay alive, I'll save you."
Well, yeah, but so you're talking about the part when he's jumping into the atrium, and then he's going there and doing all this stuff, and again, it feels. I just think imagery wise, man, this one is really beautiful. Yeah. Except for the chase at the end. Have you seen all the cars that are chasing after him? They're all like none of them are expensive cars. It was just like, I don't know, like old Ford Cortinas and things like that. Yeah, I think that was the John Woo 90s action stuff, man. When you're talking about when they're all being chased right here.
Yeah, there's not one sports car that's after him. It's all like family saloons and things. It's like, well, what's going on here?
Probably John Woo even being like, well, we'll just demolish these cheap ass cars. That way we won't have to spend a lot of money on that. Who knows?
Was this the biggest film of 2000?
I don't know.
Or Gladiator?
I would think that Gladiator might have been a little bigger, but Gladiator, I think, got a little bit more slow build progress. Like by the time it was getting talked about for Oscar, then everybody saw it. And once it was on DVD, then it was like a huge thing.
Yeah.
But I'd have to do my research on that. And I just don't know. But
I just remember the summer I get warm feelings when I think back on Mission Impossible 2. So it's like 21 years ago. And I think, wow, I remember that summer.
Well, that's another thing that I love about movies, man. They associate you with a time, like 100%. It's like smell or songs that all like can bring it. It can bring that nostalgia back. And for me, Face Off being one of my favorite action movies of all time, and already was wanting to see Face Off because I loved Broken Arrow, and I loved Broken Arrow. I wanted to see that because I'd already seen The Killer, The Boiling Point, all those John Woo Hong Kong films.
Yeah, and so Hard Target as well.
Yeah, oh, that's right. He did direct Hard Target with Van Damme, and you can see it.
Yeah.
So when I saw the trailer for this, and I started seeing like Tom Cruise is in all black riding motorcycles with long hair, sunglasses, and shooting Uzis.
Yeah.
Well, I was just like, is this a fucking John Woo movie for real? I said that, and then all of a sudden it's like directed by John Woo. I'm like, I just flipped my shit, dude. And once I saw Hans Zimmer was doing the music, I was just like, oh my God. Like, it was one of the happiest moments of my life at that time.
Do you think because of the success of Face Off, this pretty much guaranteed why John Woo got the role? Because Broken Arrow wasn't a massive hit like Face Off was, is it?
Broken Arrow was a really big hit in the sense that people went to see that movie for John Travolta because it was his first big movie after Pulp Fiction. So there was some buzz there. And Broken Arrow to me is really good. It's not as good as Face Off, but people were blown away by Face Off. And I do think Face Off launched him into this. And he must have signed another contract because Paycheck didn't come out too far after Mission Impossible 2 with Ben Affleck and Uma Thurman. And that one,
I've not seen that one.
That one's good. Uma's a bad actor in it. And it's a little too sci-fi plot line that happens in a modern day. Like if it would have been in like 2020 or something, or 2030 at the time, I would have believed it a little bit more, but then it seemed a little bit too big for its britches. So some of the sets can seem a little cheap at moments.
Right.
But the story's really cool and the plot line's really cool. I like it a lot. But anyways, don't mean to get off track. But I do think that Face Off is why he got Mission Impossible 2.
I think that his hair and the way he looks in the film, like when he's doing the rock climbing at the beginning, like I love that scene. Like absolutely. And it looks so real.
Because it is.
Yeah.
No, he was actually, have you seen the behind you? I mean, you were talking about that DVD on the behind the scenes when he's like jumping and all that stuff. Like he did have wires on him, but he made most of those jumps.
Yeah, I can believe it. I mean, look at his arms there. They're going to snap. Like that is a ridiculous move that he's in there. Like that must hurt.
Yeah. I loved it in the Ben Stiller one though, when you see Ben Stiller's face all of a sudden, he's hanging there.
Yeah, I haven't seen this DVD for a long time, but I do remember finding it funny. It was good.
He says, who is Tom Cruise? Where is Tom Cruise? How does Tom Cruise? And then he finally says, why does Tom Cruise? And it's just hilarious, stupid Ben Stiller stuff. But you were talking about the imagery in this movie, and this was a cool part that really freaked me out. And when you see how they filmed this, that's really insane because they literally have a rope tied to an end of a knife, and it's attached to another like beam of some sort. And so
that's real, because I always thought that was CG.
No, that's real. You can watch it on that behind the scenes DVD. It shows them filming it on the beach, and they have this rig basically of this arm sticking out, like holding, that's like a solid like metal rig that's like attached that you could like hang something heavy on. They have a rope attached to it going down, and the knife's attached to the end of the rope, and they measured it just right to where they pull on it and it stops where the rope ends.
Right. Okay.
So he's really stabbing towards his eye, but it's
reminiscent of the T-1000 with Sarah Connor. It reminds me of that.
Oh, sure. And dude, I guarantee you the type of director that John Woo is, he knew that. Oh, and was totally inspired by that. I can guarantee you he loves James Cameron because James is sort of like the man, and any action director loves James Cameron.
Yeah.
But the other imagery I really like, especially when he decides to go chasing her, is when he gets the beanie on and he starts running through there and he's like exploding shit up. And then finally, like John Woo's just loving showing this darker side of Tom Cruise. I love that scene right there, dude.
That's where Doug Ray Scott's character is wearing his mask, right?
And he's like, yes, but it just, he looks so badass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's got that sinister look. Like,
and like you said, talking about that other mask thing, using it 5 more times. They do use it a lot in this movie.
yeah, it's a bit overkill. I think if they toned it down a little bit, it's like you don't know who could be who. And I've always wondered this about the whole franchise. I think like if these face masks exist, like who can you trust anybody? Like
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hole, but I think it's also the way they paint it. It's like you have to have either a lot of access or a lot of money to even be able to create one of these. You know what I mean?
yeah,
As far as access to the tech, and then I have a lot of money. That's at least what I like to think. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, they use it in the beginning. They use it at the beginning twice, pretty much. Uh,
yeah,
and then they use it throughout the film. I say they use it more in this movie than any other film.
yeah. And they don't really explain it. And this leading on to the third movie, if you wanted to start talking about that one.
They did explain it on part one though. Well, they did use it on part one, but they only
Yeah,
used
as
it one
a
time.
rubber mask, wasn't it? Like it was more like a prosthetic than
He's sitting down on the
CGI.
train, yeah, and he's sort of just like, and it comes off like that. But this one, they got further and further and further with it, and it's sort of the same thing in this one because they just pull it off, right?
Yeah,
But then in part three, they show them constructing it more and how it like attached. They do
I
the
love
vocal
that.
thing.
Yeah, I love
So
that
yeah,
because then it's something I can believe in. You know, when they're showing it, and yeah, it's clever.
well, I agree. So we'll move on to part three, but before we do that, you know, with Mission Impossible 2, with the white doves, the MTV sunglasses vibe about it, with all the slow-mo and all that stuff, I still think that
Perfect
it's
hair.
a beautiful, yeah, perfect hair. It's a beautiful film. It has a lot of cool artistic moments, and I do like this one because it feels like its own thing, and they were taking a risk with it. I love John Woo, so I'm partial to the film. I can see why people don't like it as far as the rest of the tone of the franchise, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think that the third one, I didn't have high hopes for the third one at the time.
I felt like that they were trying to correct the course because I knew the reception of part two. So I was like,
Right.
really? They're doing a third one. And I was like, who's this J.J. Abrams guy?
Yeah. And the more I think about this one, I grow to love this one. I'd say it's in the top two for me, this one.
You know, I just rewatched it in the background today while I was doing some editing and setting up for this. I don't know if it's my favorite one, but I would say it's definitely in the top three.
Yeah.
Maybe in the top two. For me, if someone made me choose, I would choose part two. Like if somebody said you can only watch one for the rest of your life, I'd choose part two. But
Would you really?
I would. But that's how, man, I am. If you knew me and like, dude, Jerry Bruckheimer and Michael Bay and all that shit, that was my jam. And pretty much until Transformers 2, I was all about Michael Bay. I was all about Jerry Bruckheimer. I was all about that style of filming. John Woo, that flashy slow motion double gun shit. But obviously, I don't feel that same way anymore.
Was The Island before Transformers?
Yeah.
I enjoyed The Island.
I love The Island. Yeah, I thought it was great, man. Thought it was really good. And that was a non Jerry Bruckheimer, Michael Bay film. I think that was his first Platinum Dunes film, if I'm correct.
Right. Okay. I didn't know it was by them neither.
I think I could be wrong, but I know that Platinum Dunes didn't necessarily start out just horror. I think that at some point they realized what they had in the horror vibe, and they just started buying up all the old franchises. But anyways, point I'm trying to make is that's why I would choose part two. However, part three is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's going back to basics, going back towards the TV show. It's still not quite there, but there's just something good about it. The only thing I don't like about the third one is the wife scenario. I don't know why, because obviously they carried this on.
They all the way through the sixth one so far. Have you?
This opening for this movie is fantastic.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I've shown that to so many people. I still get a buzz from it because you assume that spoilers here, but you assume that he's got his partner, and it's so well acted by Tom.
Oh, dude, it just the whole count to 10 thing. I mean, every number you're getting more stressed out, and you're getting more, and then the tears from him and everything. Yeah. You're just like, whoa, dude.
And he's like, it's on the chair, like what?
And he tries to switch from mad to then, okay, maybe I'll try to bargain with him. Okay, no, please, I'll beg, or no, then maybe I'll lie, and you know what I'm saying? He just goes through all these different.
Yeah, it feels real, and it feels like what I would behave like. like if I was in that same situation, and that is why I think he's a good actor.
Dude, I agree, man. It is one of the scenes that truly just, I'd say it's the best opening for sure of all the films.
100%. And for me, it's got the best villain.
Okay. I think he's awesome. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman and I love him in this role. I don't think they utilized him enough in this movie.
For that opening scene, he's got me in. You know,
he's
got
great.
me.
But if you think about it, he's only in that part, and he is in a little bit of the part where they are breaking into the Vatican area and all that stuff and changing the mask
with the red wine.
Yeah, and he gets on his shirt, and then he's having to be quiet with the vocal thing in the bathroom while this guy's like, "Hey, what's the matter?" And meanwhile, they've got the real one behind the door. He's in that, and then basically he's in the scene where they're about to drive him out of the plane, and then at the end, he just has a few moments in the film. It's not. I wish, like, because in Mission Impossible 2, Dougray Scott is in it the whole time.
Consistently, yeah. Okay, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I just wish they would have utilized him more. I thought he was great as the character, and I loved. It's awesome to see this. Up until this point, we hadn't seen an evil Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's right. I agree. Does the rabbit's foot, does that bother you at all? Like, we never found out what it is.
No, because I don't. That's a lot of times in the old school James Bond movies, you never knew what stuff is. They just referred to it, and you knew it was dangerous. That was it.
Yeah, and
that doesn't bother me because at some point, if they start trying to get too deep in it, it's like, are we watching a techie? Like, I want it to be more. To me, what works about the Mission Impossible films is the action. And at first, when I first saw part 2, up until he saves her, I was like, man, this doesn't have a ton of action in it. And then when she injects herself, then it just turns into an action film. Then I'm like, all right, yeah, I see what you did there. That's awesome. But overall, I think they need to be action films. The only one that's not a full action one is part 1, but that's because it's a Brian De Palma film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe that if they're going to be episodic, like they kind of are, I mean, they're not now, but there was to begin with. I do think changing of the director keeps it fresh, keeps it new. Like, there's such a different tone with the third one, as in, like, it's got like a blue tone to it, whereas the second one had a yellowy tone.
Well, think about this though. The second one does kind of have a yellowy tone at moments, but it doesn't though. I mean, it's got like the breakout scene here and there at the end here. I mean, when he's busting into the atrium, that whole thing is blue. I mean, it does have, it starts off with the yellow tone. Yeah, and they advertise the posters. What'd you say?
I said the third one does have like a blue tone as well, doesn't it? So yeah, you are right with the atrium part.
The third one to me is just more dark. I actually refer to it as the dark one.
Yeah.
Because you think his wife gets killed at first.
You don't really know what's going because he seems to be like more of a civilian now in this one, and he's settling down, and it's because of his friend, isn't it? Is it Kerry Russell's character?
Yeah. So I got the picture. Yeah. So they're having to go save her because Billy Crudup comes and talks to him in the convenience store, and right there they try to give you that exposition of like, yeah, maybe they have a past. You know, these two have a past. They make a little reference to a couple things, and I would have invited you to the party, all that shit, but then. It does seem like he's trying to stop, but it also seems like he had this connection in this relationship with Kerry Russell from the past as well. And that triggered something. He's like, I need to save her. That's one thing I didn't like so much about this. And so just hear me out on this.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong. I love part 3. Like I said, it's in my top 3, maybe in the top 2. But one thing I don't like about it is we were supposed to believe that in part 2 that he couldn't live without her.
Yes.
That he would die for her. Why is she not the wife in part 3?
Yeah, why not?
That would have just made so much better of a connection.
I agree.
And so it's like now we throw in this wife that we don't know anything about. Him. We throw in the Billy Crudup character that we know nothing about. And then we throw in the Kerry Russell character that we know nothing about. But he has this huge history with all of them. That was the only thing that bothered me about part 3.
No, that makes sense. I mean, why not carry her over into the third one? We already care about her in the second one.
She's a little bit of a choosy actress as far as choosing her roles. She may not have wanted to be in it after the reception of part 2.
Yeah, that's true.
They may have asked her. They may have turned it down because they've obviously kept Michelle Monaghan in all of them since.
Yeah, that's odd. I think like they keep bringing her back. It's like just either be married to her or not. This guardian angel thing, ugh. But that's
Yeah,
come on.
it's yeah. When again, we'll get to that once they keep floating around.
Yeah,
But I do, or once we get to the other sequels. But I did like the fact that he's fighting for his wife even more so at this point, and again, and like they're involving her, and I liked that it still was sort of a personal vendetta mission.
yeah.
But
It's
but more people were willing to help him out this time around, you know?
yeah. It seems like that era of time as well, like 2005, 2006. There was somebody in every movie getting defibrillated back to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And that
I
end scene,
think
they
it the
make him,
best.
they did it really good. I loved it with Kerry Russell. It kind of is a little over the top in the end with like, I don't know, you got to do it. Now he's like fighting Philip C.R. Hoffman with his
Yeah.
elbows. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of, I mean, it was cool, especially when I saw it. I was so pumped up because of the movie being so good and way better, like you said, than I expected it. But at that
Yeah.
point, rewatching it, I'm kind of like, you're doing a great job, but it's like maybe they should have just had him struggling and still fighting rather than this whole elbow,
Well, it's when
Muay Thai thing.
he bites on the stick and it's like it snaps in his mouth when she shocks him. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I feel it though.
There's a lot of grit in this one, dude. This one has got the most darkness and the most grit to it, I feel.
But it's got J.J. Abrams' style because it feels like the Lost music comes on when she's trying to bring him back to life.
Yeah, because he wanted to get you more wrapped up into
the soul.
Well, see, the second one had soul too because of the way they would look in each other's eyes, and he couldn't live without her, and he was ready, but it was still so John Wooey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was still an action movie.
Right. This one does get moments of where you see Tom Cruise's character, you see Ethan Hunt being afraid to lose someone again that he loves. You see that he doesn't know if he can handle it. And I like that.
Yeah, and the way she's just a nurse and like she's lovely and she doesn't really deserve anything that's happening to her as well. But that deception trick that he does where he puts a face mask on his own staff member and then puts some tape over it, and that's what Ethan Hunt we discover halfway through the film.
What you're talking about right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked that a lot. And the fact that they explain that it was the translator that betrayed, what's his name? Davian, yeah. So it was like his translator and she had wronged him. So they just killed her and used her as a part of the plan. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. He just wanted to see if he was telling the truth or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did like the Billy Crudup twist. I like that as well. All of that for me works. I just wish we would have seen Billy Crudup in part 2. You know what I mean? Like,
does he go rogue in this one? Like, because that became a bit tiresome as well. Like, I can't remember. No, he's working the whole time. You know, there's no problem, is there?
Well, who? Tom?
Yeah, Ethan Hunt. Like,
well, remember? Okay, so remember this scene right here. Which this scene was pretty awesome. This was a great at the time. This bridge scene was like that was a big deal to do this whole scene like this. It was real effects, all that. They had real jets flying by and shit. It really was a big deal. But when that happened, remember they come and grab him and they take him into custody.
Yes.
And then Billy Crudup slips him the thing to get out of there. Remember, he's mouthing him the words and he mouthing information. So he gets him out of there. Anyways,
he can lip read in this one.
Yeah. Like, come on, he's a special agent, MI6. But I think that, I mean, he's definitely rogue on this one. He has helped people that are willing to help him more and people that believe him more, but he's still rogue in this one. Whereas part 2, it felt like he barely even worked for the agency.
Yeah, it's just,
you know what I mean?
you know, get a brief part in part 2 with Anthony Hopkins. That's it.
That's it. And the sunglasses at the beginning with the message, and he throws it. This one definitely felt more like the agency was involved. The agency was after him, things like that. So it felt more Mission Impossible than the second one did, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I can't remember any music coming out with this one. Like
the music wasn't anything crazy. They tried to focus more just on the old school. I think they wanted to get more of the spy element in this one, while it still was a great action film, and it is. But you know, Maggie Q, God bless her. Oh my God, I love her. And you know, Ving Rhames had a decent part, and then Jonathan Myers Reese or Jonathan Rhys Meyers. I can't remember which direction that is. He's turned out to
That's
be
it.
a pretty popular actor. So
Yeah, it's just, I mean, did he have like special talents? Like, why were they not carried on to the next movie?
well, that was the thing. At this point, I don't know if they were just assembling new teams for him every time and keeping Ving Rhames in there a little bit. I don't know. Maggie Q, I mean, she's had a successful career since, and still, I mean, she has a new movie out with Michael Keaton called Protege.
Yeah, I
So
think
I
what
don't
was
really
going on in
know
Tom's personal life kind of damaged the franchise a little bit because it was quite a while before they made a sequel to this. It was 2011, the next one.
before they made Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, and they released it at Christmas because they didn't know if it was going to be a success or not.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it was that long between, but I felt like it was a decent amount of time between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. Like
Yeah,
when I saw this one was coming out, I was like, oh shit, they're making a third one. I kind of thought it was over after the reception of part 2, but
yeah,
no.
I did. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so
But this went back to basics. I love this one.
I think it's great, man. I love the plot line. The pace of it is fantastic. It's not a dull
Yeah,
moment in the film. I do love the idea that by the end of it, it is him still fighting for his love. And that part by the end, once he finally is winning, and I don't know, he's winning, but he's never really on top until it's over. You know what I mean? He's
yeah.
always about to lose something. Whereas it starts to begin like the opening of Ghost Protocol. He's just a straight up badass when he's breaking out of the jail.
I
But we'll talk
absolutely.
about the next time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a good opening for me. I like that.
But and I wasn't trying to stop you from talking, but
No, it's fine. I mean, 1 through 3, if I was to rate them all, I would say the first one, I would give it a 7.5. I'd give part 2 a 6. That's just for me, out of 10. And then the third one, I would give it a 7. Like, I do enjoy it.
to me, it's funny. My rating is much more of if I'm going to talk to somebody and say, you know what, I'm not even going to try to break it down that way. For me, I love part 2.
Right.
I like part 3 next, and then part 1's a close third follow.
Yeah.
None of them are bad, and I'm talking like this is a matter of not John part 2 being a 9, part 3 being an 8, and part 1 being a 7.5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they're all highly rated to you, and you enjoy them for their own rights. And this is the beauty of having different directors.
And they're all completely different. That's what I do like about those for sure.
Yeah.
And one thing that I wanted to mention too, you know, we got this cast, you know, these guys in here, which we pay attention to the whole movie. We love them. They're good and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this also was the introduction to Simon Pegg.
Yes. Now,
Who's
what at the time that was a gamble. So that comedy element.
I think it was a gamble, but very necessarily because Ving Rhames was sort of a comedy element in 1, and he sort of was a comedy element in 2. So this one, I think they tried to make Veem had his comedy elements where he's talking to Tom about his wife and man, you shouldn't get married and all that. And then finally it's like, we just got married. And I mean, that's there, but I think adding the extra layer of a techie guy, like, I just think that I don't know if they knew that it was going to work for the rest of the films and they were going to keep him, but Simon Pegg, come on. He's too likable. He's too good at what he does that if he's going to get on a movie, he's probably going to keep the role, you know?
Well, now we know that. And my partner, she said tonight, she said, there's something about Simon Pegg. I think he's sexy. And I'm like, what? But she loves him. You know
Well,
what
have
I
you
mean?
seen him lately?
No, I've seen him on The Boys.
Dude, he on The Boys, he's got a lot of makeup and fake padding on. He's like ripped.
Really?
Yeah, the past couple years, he decided he needed to just switch over and just start eating healthy, stop drinking everything. Like he didn't have like a drinking problem or anything, but just really just start living good and working out. Yeah, dude, like I'm talking like Ryan Reynolds ripped.
Really?
Yeah,
I need to check
it's
that out.
weird. No, he's not like huge. He's just cut like Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? Just in shape, no body fat.
Yeah, I do think he brings a fun element to it, and especially in the next one, but we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Well, now it's hard to me envision him not being a part of the franchise. You know, like he's in more movies than not, you know what I mean? He's in 4 of them and there's only 7. So I think that's pretty cool. Or there's only 6, but he's in the next one too. Excuse me. So he's in 5 of them.
Yeah, and he brings like a nervous edge to it because he's worried about his job. He's like, oh, I'm going to get fired for this, helping you, and all this. And then like, obviously he progresses through each movie after that.
But he's
You know,
still but he's still logical with his
novice.
statements, and he's always like a little bit glass half empty, you know. So I like that.
Yeah, and he's so nervous. Like he's so nervous. Like how he is an IMF agent, I have no idea. Like he's never. He looks quite chunky there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You didn't realize, you may have just seen him gradually lose his weight, but he wasn't chunky, but he'll tell you, he was like, I was living off of fish and chips and eating shit like that all the time. I just wasn't eating.
Was he straight off the back of Shaun of the Dead in this?
I'm pretty sure, or did Hot Fuzz come out before this or after this? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember, but you know, I just think it was a gamble that they put him in there, one that worked.
But at the same time, I don't know if it was. I bet you they needed somebody, and I bet you what happened, and I don't know this for a fact, but I bet you he auditioned, and they just were getting people to audition, and they probably had a lot of other people that were even maybe famous, but he may have came in there and brought this comedy element they may not have even known they wanted. But when they saw him, they're like, this guy's too charming, too good. We got to put him in there. Maybe let's rewrite some things, tweak the character. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, because that happens a lot.
I would have liked Lawrence Fishburne. I would have liked him to have continued a little bit more as well, because it felt like the IMF leaders just kept going.
Yeah, I think once he got signed on for the Matrix sequels, he was way too tied up.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
and I think this came out right after the third Matrix.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Like so I think at that point he was just like, I'm going to take a break, guys, because they'll all tell you, film those first two, or those two sequels for the Matrix, for them was grueling. There's like all Trinity, or Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence, and Keanu. They're like, that was some of the hardest times of my life as far as the training we had to go through.
Especially for Keanu, yeah.
They had to, all of them had to learn kung fu like hardcore, dude. Like I've got the behind the scenes stuff showing them practicing. It wasn't no joke. They're really having to do some shit. And a lot of these guys do that now, but not like they did.
Yeah. And it shows. And that's why that film is going to be forever a legendary film.
My buddy Brian just commented in. He said ripped for sure. I guess he's talking about Simon Pegg.
Yeah, we need to check. I need to check him out. I need to see what he's like.
I should have had a picture of that brought up. That would have been fun to bring up on there. Another thing I wanted to talk about this though too. So we were talking about that this new cast. We get Simon Pegg, got a new cast member, but somebody that you might not have known that was in this movie, and maybe you do, but we got a young Jesse Pinkman in there.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so look, he plays Tom Cruise's wife's younger brother. And he's like, man, welcome to the family, all this stuff. And it's straight up. He's like, welcome to the family, yo. I don't think he says it like that, but it sounds like Jesse Pinkman.
It's the way all the women are like, wow, he's so hot, your husband. What fake job does he say he has?
He's a traffic analyzer or traffic analyst. Yeah.
And he's just lip reading them all, thinking like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was how they described how he was able to read Billy Crudup's lips. Yeah. That, he heard his wife talking about lake something, the lake that they hung out at or whatever. But yeah, I just thought it was funny because I had seen this movie a bunch, but I probably haven't watched it since Breaking Bad. And
yeah, I mean, how are we going to pick up on that? Yeah.
Yeah, and so now I'm just like, oh shit, there's Jesse Pinkman. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, no, I didn't know he was in it.
What's his name in real life? Aaron Paul. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank there.
Yeah, he made a mistake with Need for Speed.
Yeah, too bad. I mean, I don't know what kind of roles he had been offered since then or after. Who knows? But tell you what, he is a good actor, and he's actually been on some TV shows. He's gotten some TV show like consistent shows. But when you're that good of an actor playing that role and that specific of a role for a TV show, it's hard to. How do you not hear Jesse Pinkman when you hear his voice?
This is what I think about Michael C. Hall as Dexter. It's like, why hasn't Hollywood picked him up? And it's because he is Dexter. He's
too much. Well, his look is just too, he's got that look to him. But I do love Michael C. Hall. Have you seen the stuff on Netflix that's the, documentary Now is what it's called? It's Bill Hader and Seth Meyers. They're producers of it. And also Fred Armisen. Those are all Saturday Night Live guys. And they do all these fake documentaries on things that never existed, but it makes it look like it did exist. So like they talk about this one band that was around back in the 70s. They're starting to do this documentary on. It looks like they're in the 70s. They're all in 70s clothes. The film, it's like, yeah, when we were behind the scenes. I mean, it feels like a full-on documentary, all fake and hilarious. And every episode is different stars along with some of the same actors. Well, Michael C. Hall did one with him where he's a retired professional bowler.
Right. Okay.
Dude,
no, I'd watch that. I like it.
Try to check it out. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I will do.
But anyways, yeah, Mission Impossible movies. There we go. We talked about the franchise. We rated them. I think mine's 2, 3, 1. Yours is 1, 3, 2.
No. Well, I'll talk about it tomorrow. 1, 3, 4.
No. I'm talking about of the 3 we talked about right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah. 1, 3, 2.
1, 3, 2. Yeah. So, oh no, and we'll give a final ranking tomorrow after because we'll rank the 3 tomorrow in their category. Then we'll do a total ranking.
Okay. We'll do that tomorrow.
Well, hey, everybody, B-Dub, everybody else out there, thank y'all so much for joining us again today. This is awesome. And as Maniac, thanks for joining, brother. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you do.
Oh, well, you know what I did last night. So I make fake trailers. I make I try and dupe people into watching my videos. Not like kind of clickbait. I don't know.
But they're all good, man.
I just want to have fun with it. And it's like, once you click it, I want people to have fun with it. So yeah, I rip movies, I mash movies together. I do things like that.
That's one of your thumbnails right behind you there with Boris Johnson on there.
Yeah, I've got
on a few of them
there now. Yeah, I plan to put more on there. But yeah, I just try and mix things up because we've all seen the movies so many times. How about trying to put them together in a different way? And that upsets some people. And it also brings a lot of joy to people because I do get a lot of, positivity as well. So yeah, you can find me at my channel, which is just as Maniac on YouTube. So yeah.
Sweet. Well, yeah, thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon. We'll be talking left and right on the chats and all that stuff. But thanks for joining, man. It was fun. And we got to figure out what we're going to do next weekend.
That's true. I'm thinking, could be Matrix. I don't know. We'll decide.
But tomorrow we are doing this again at the same time at 1 o'clock. So we're finishing up the Mission Impossible trilogy.
Yeah. Let's get it done.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, we'll talk to you soon and have a great night, man. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoy it. See you later.
See you later, buddy. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for the trilogy discussions and beyond and everything today. But also, if you weren't able to comment or anything you got some stuff you ever want us to talk about in the future, definitely send it to brassreelbobby@gmail.com. I'll be definitely responding back, but I'll do it through the show. Like I said, I'm always wanting to get involved with the community and stuff like that. Also, got my live show Monday through Thursday at 1 p.m. where I just do nothing but talk about live stuff. Everything coming out to the big screen, everything coming out at home to stream, everything coming out everywhere, basically. And all the shenanigans going on from behind the screen too. So guys, thank y'all so much. Appreciate y'all. And y'all have a great weekend. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 1. Peace.